Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and tonight we're speaking with Great Pumpkin, which is a great Smashing Pumpkins tribute based out of Long Beach, California. How you guys doing tonight? Why don't we start off with you guys introducing yourself?
Go ahead, Chris. Hey, I'm Chris Moore. I play drums. I'm Karen Toady, and I play bass.
Okay, now why don't we start off with Karen? Since I'm talked to you about setting up this interview, you told me the band's been around about a year. So I'm kind of curious if you guys could tell us how you first got into the music of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Well, our singer and I were hanging out last year, and we were talking about starting another project together because we all play together in other bands and stuff. And we're thinking, what would be fun? And he actually came up with the idea of Smashing Pumpkins because there wasn't any around, and there's a girl bass player, and we were kind of joking about it, really. And then we said, okay, well, if we're going to do this, let's call Chris, our drummer, and if Chris is down to do it, then we'll do it. And if Chris isn't, let's just bag the idea. And Chris was like, I'm down, let's check it out. And so here we are. That was kind of how it happened. But there are no other Smashing Pumpkins tributes in the area, as you know, and that was a good, idea for us. And it's really fun. They've got great songs, so.
And so, let me ask you, Karen and Chris, that's exactly why I wanted to talk to you guys, because when I was researching bands to interview online, this is the only Smashing Pumpkins tribute in the area. And is that something that seems to be working for you as far as people really wanting to come out to your shows because you are the only tribute in this area?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's different, and, it's kind of a different vibe than a lot of the stuff that's out there, and, among kind of the tribute scene, you see that it's a little bit off the beaten path, and so, as a drummer, the Jimmy Chamberlain stuff is a total blast to play, and it's challenging, and so and the fact that we're only a three-piece is kind of a cool thing because, we're up there, just going for it, and it seems to work somehow, man.
And the cool thing about doing the Smashing Pumpkins, I would think, is, again, there's like thousands of Led Zeppelin tributes and Black Sabbath tribute bands, and, doing the Smashing Pumpkins, the cool thing about that is this is a band that people are really either love or hate, and for the people who really love this band, they're really diehard. But then, again, like I said, Smashing Pumpkins, although they've got their radio hits, probably people have not heard the Smashing Pumpkins say as many times as they've probably heard, Led Zeppelin and Stairway to Heaven on the radio, a million times. So the great thing about what you guys are doing, too, is you're introducing a whole new audience to this music.
Thanks, man. Yeah. We'd like to hope so,
And so...
And it's funny because we play, shows down. I've got friends and, people I'm involved with, and they're like, oh my gosh, Smashing Pumpkins is my favorite band. And I'm like, wow, okay, just people just forget about them, I guess, because there aren't any of the, in our little tribute thing, there aren't any of them. So it's been interesting to see that. And people love that band. There are those diehards. And they know all, but we're like, Chris, tell them about the Sunset House of Blues show, and everyone was singing all the words. And yeah, it was crazy, man. We were up there, good crowd at House of Blues on Sunset one night, and we've been sort of locked in rehearsing and working on our stuff, and sort of in the cave, so to speak, and all of a sudden we go out and we're playing the show, and I looked out at the crowd, and the crowd was like singing along, and people were, eyes closed, heads back, just singing their, hearts out. I was like, wow. And you could hear the audience, singing this stuff, and I was just like, wow, man, this means something to these guys. It's cool.
And so let me ask you guys, from the time you decided, okay, we're going to put together this Smashing Pumpkins tribute band, how long did it take you to actually rehearse and learn the stuff until you ultimately, felt you were ready to do your first show?
Well, I'll answer that, Chris. We were planning on getting this rolling in the fall, but like I said, Chris and our singer Michael have an original band called Damage together. They had some shows, and they were also doing a cover band at the time, so they were involved with that. I was in a couple of other projects as well, so we decided to kind of rehearse a couple times last fall, really hit it hard in January and February of this year. So our first show is actually the 1st of March this year, and that's kind of how that all happened. But we were so busy with other projects that we got together a few times, and then started to really get into it January, February. So, and then we just kind of took off from there. I know a lot of people, and just people kind of like came to me, hey, I'm interested in your band, and we've done a lot more shows and got a lot more interest than I even thought we were going to.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about that because part of the reason I started doing these interviews with the different tribute bands is I don't think a lot of people realize all the hard work that goes into putting together a project like this. A lot of people have a misconception, tribute bands, they're just, they're making a living off of other people's music, but it's really more than that. So what could you explain to us, what's the difference to you guys between a tribute band and a cover band?
Go ahead, Karen.
Well, yeah, to me, I mean, it's really, a tribute band is really started as just that, for that purpose. That word is to pay tribute to bands that they really like, whereas, more of a cover band is just covering songs of various bands that they like, and generally a cover band is going to play, songs from several different bands, whereas a tribute band would be more, sticking to one band. And we've seen it get, as you've probably seen out there, where it gets extremely involved, and bands will dress like, the bands they're playing tribute to, and it's kind of it's a cool thing, and it's very, very much of exactly that. And so, as a musician, I don't look like Jimmy Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I don't want to try to look like Jimmy Chamberlain, but I certainly like the idea of doing my best to play like Jimmy Chamberlain. And so, rather than in a cover band situation, you might get up and try to cover the songs pretty close to what they are. But, when we're doing these songs, there were certain drum chops that Jimmy Chamberlain, played on the record, and I really try to make sure that I get those, or the majority of those, and then I'm going to add kind of my own spice to it, but there are those key hits that need to happen, because I look out and I see the audience air drumming them, and I'm like, man, I better be right on my game.
Yeah, because I got to tell people, to me, the difference between a tribute too is like seeing a band like what you guys do. It's more than just guys in their jeans and t-shirt get up on stage and doing a bunch of cover tunes. Like you said, you guys really put your heart and soul into what you're doing, and you're as much of a fan of the Smashing Pumpkins as the people come to your shows. Now, what's your fan base like? As far as, you must have people coming up to you after the shows and telling you, oh man, you took me back to the first time I seen the Smashing Pumpkins. I imagine you get stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. Every show, people come up to us and say stuff like that. I think there was one where there was a mosh pit at one of their shows. I don't think that they allowed moshing at Pumpkins, and we hear all these stories and stuff. So it's cool, though. It's like very cool for us to have that kind of response, and we get a good response. And the band was kind of just a fun thing we were starting, and we're all really good friends, and that was kind of the basis of this whole thing. We've all been in several other projects, and we're like, let's just do this for fun. And because we've set it up that way, and we communicate well, we talk about everything. It is a lot of work, just practicing and getting the parts down, and vocals for Michael and I, and all that stuff. And then the whole other side of the booking process and promoting your band. And Chris and I do most of that together. And but a lot of bands don't understand it takes hours and days and years to get to the levels of some of these big tribute bands. A lot of time goes into it if you want to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are well on your way, and I like that because you're saying like you guys are professional musicians and you're in other projects as well. Are you at all surprised at the level of success you've reached, in this little bit of time and over the last year, as opposed to trying to get your own original music out there? It might take you 6 or 7 years to have your first hit song. Is that kind of amazed you?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, what level you are on the original side. And so a band that's, starting from zero, writing their own songs and all that, of course, it's to build a following, an awful long time. But with the tribute stuff, it's a kind of a less of a risk, so to speak, for an audience to come out and see a tribute band play because they know the songs and they're familiar with it. So to spend their time and money and go out and spend an evening seeing a band, it's less of a risk. They know it's going to be pretty good, at least pretty good. And then a lot of times, hopefully, we can wow them, and they'll be like, "Don, I gotta come back and bring my friends." The original projects that I'm involved in, it's more of a risk. It's kind of a situation where people will come out and say, "Wow, you guys are good," sort of surprised. And sadly, that can happen where you go out to see an original band and you're doing a favor for a friend, and you show up and maybe they're not so good or something like that, or their songs aren't good, or it wasn't what you expected, and you're kind of kicking yourself at the end of the night, like, why did I spend my time and money on that? So the goal is to really actually in an original project to really be good and deliver those songs in that performance, so people will come back. And it's kind of cool to say you dug our songs and we wrote them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess the point I'm trying to make too, is that like, does it amaze you that like in 1 year's time that you've reached this level of success, being that it just
just because we all do so many different things, and it's like again I go back to we're friends. This was a fun thing. Woohoo! Let's do it. And then I pretty much booked the band, and the offers that we got are I was surprised at how much interest I had from people I deal with other projects and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we want you guys." And I'm like, "Hey guys, we've got another gig offer," and we've had some success with it. We're looking to kind of take over the world next year, but right now we've done some really cool things. I mean, we've played House of Blues Sunset and Anaheim. We've been asked back to both venues, several other places in the area that a lot of bands can't get into, for whatever reason. It's probably because there's so many of the same tribute, like you were saying. But yeah, it's been really cool, and I'm impressed with what we've done.
Well, because I mean, the point here I'm trying to make is even just out here in the Los Angeles area where we're from, it's amazing what a huge tribute scene there is, and I'd like to ask you guys, has this been your experience? Because a lot of the tribute bands I've seen live and talked to and doing these interviews, it seems like there's a real fraternity among the bands where, whereas if you were an original band, you'd be competing with other bands, but a lot of the tribute bands I've noticed, they really they're friendly with one another. They help each other out. Like, hey, do you guys want to open for our show next week? Has that kind of been your experience?
Yeah, that's very much so. I mean, we've got I've been doing this tribute thing for a long time. Chris hasn't for as long as me, but we are all friends, most of us, and we do help each other out a lot. And part of our thing now doing the 90s, we've met all these new friends. We've got Vitology, Slaves Against the Machine, there's a Nirvana tribute, and we're all kind of hooking each other up with, hey, check this band out, and they're, roping us into their gigs, we're roping them into ours, and it's just been very cool, We went down to play San Diego, which I never would have thought we would have even gotten into San Diego at this point, from friends in another band called Core, and so everyone kind of helps each other out with it, which is very cool.
Yeah, and I'm looking on you guys' Facebook page right now, and there's a little picture of an Orange County Weekly ad, and it says in there was a time when we couldn't possibly imagine 90s tribute bands popping up, but they're starting to pop up all over the place, and it's kind of a lot of times tribute bands have to have a little niche. I mean, in your case, not only that you're only Smashing Pumpkins tribute out here, but like you said, but there a lot of tribute scene is 70s and 80s bands. So I think you guys have really hooked on to something great here. Because there's a lot of more. I'm seeing Stone Temple Pilot tributes and Nirvana tributes. So I think there's definitely a place for you guys out there.
Thank you.
And again, looking on your Facebook page, when I first found your band on the Facebook, and I heard the name of the Great Pumpkin, one thing that obviously came to mind is the classic Charlie Brown cartoon, The Great Pumpkin. And I see you guys have a little I see you guys have a little image of that up on your Facebook page. Is that kind of where you got the name for that?
Michael came up with the name, yes, and he, like I said, if you come on Saturday and meet him to our Toys for Tots, I'll get into that, but he loves to tell that story because after we decided to do the band, I went up to Gaslamp, the venue that him and I booked, and he owned, and he wouldn't let me leave until we came up with a band name. So I have the list of all the names we came up with. It's hilarious. And he came up with the Great Pumpkin, and he said, that's what we're doing, that's it. And we just kind of took it and ran with it from there. So, yeah, that is part of the reason. But
it's a great name.
Like the name.
It's a great name. I mean, it gets people's attention, right away. I was just curious if people ever initially think that you have something to do with the, with Peanuts people, or do they automatically know you're a Smashing Pumpkins band?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Most people, they'll know kind of what the scoop is, and if they don't, we're certainly willing to tell them and clue them in. It's funny because we'll play before we go on. In fact, we might do this on Saturday. I don't know. We haven't even talked about it, but sometimes we'll actually play a little piece of one of the, like the Great Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to come Saturday and check that out, Jason. We are going to do it. So.
Okay.
Before we go on, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that because Karen, when you and I were talking on the phone the other day, setting up the interview, you had mentioned to me, as you did in an email, that you worked down at the Gaslamp, which, for anybody who doesn't know, is a great little club in Long Beach, California, and I've seen a lot of great tribute bands there. In fact, like you said, you have a show coming up there this Saturday, November 22nd. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what the Gaslamp is for people who don't know, and were you working there first before you were, doing your own band, or how did that all come about?
Well, Michael, our singer, is the owner of the venue, and
cool.
We did a autistic benefit in 2010 there, called Metal Jam. We do it every year, and we put that on there. One of my friends found the place, and then that's how we met Michael, and then kind of introduced him to the whole scene. So a couple years later, he wanted me to help him start booking some stuff there, and now I'm his talent buyer. Him and I do all the booking at the venue, but it's a 650 capacity, like a mini House of Blues. It's really nice. We have live music. We do comedy, do all kinds of events over there, UFC, things like that. So it's a really, really cool venue, and everybody loves it and wants to play there. So I put together these events. Saturday is actually our Toys for Tots, our fourth Toys for Tots that we're doing at Gaslamp. And so the Marines are going to be there. It's a big, huge thing. We've got a bunch of tributes playing. We've got Electric Funeral, just like Priest, Empire, the Great Pumpkins playing, and then Vitology and Damaging are going on last on Saturday. So that'll be a huge event.
Wow, yeah, and let me ask you. I mean, just looking at that lineup, who'd ever think that a Smashing Pumpkins tribute could play the same show as Metallica tribute or Black Sabbath tribute, Alice in Chains, but you guys really just seem to fit in with everybody. I think that's a really cool thing you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. We're spicing it up this year, and I've got I think it'll go well. Just not all metal. We'll kind of spice it up with some 90s this year.
Yeah, you got Damage Inc., Vitology, just like Priest, Empire, The Great Pumpkin. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 6 different bands the same night. So people are really getting their money's worth for like you said, for a good cause. So I was curious, it's a Toys for Tots event. Who are you guys donating the toys to? Who will be getting the toys that people come and donate?
It's an actual Toys for Tots event. So the Marines come out, and they're involved, and we have bins at the door, so it's like, to get in, you have to bring an unwrapped toy worth $10 or more.
Oh, okay.
And you just the Marines take it, put it in the bin, and that's your admission. And, every year we do it, we usually have to have them come back the next day and pick up more toys, because we always have more people than we expect, so it's always very cool that everyone comes out to support us.
And like we were talking earlier, my experience been with a lot of these tribute bands, they help out one another, and there's a real fraternity among the tribute bands. When people find out, Karen, that you book these shows for a Gaslamp, how many of your tribute band friends are trying to get you to book their bands there? I miss you. I mean, you must have no shortage of bands trying to get a gig there.
Yeah, everybody, and I try to put in where I can. We don't just do tributes at Gas
Yeah,
Festival.
yeah.
We do a lot of national acts and different things. So it's tough. So for events like this, it's very cool because everyone wants to be involved. I've got bands that since we booked this in March, so
Yeah.
I've had bands. So we want to get on there. We want to get on there. It's like it's been booked, So yeah, everybody that you've heard of probably has posted to try to play Gas Fest. It's a very cool venue.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you the other day on the phone, I live literally like 5 minutes away from a club, and just off of 2nd Street down there, and like you said, you guys do tribute acts, you do national acts. I've seen advertised. They've had some pretty big name comedians play there. I've seen a pretty cool Cheap Trick tribute. I think they're called Cheapest Trick. They did a great show down there not too long ago. And I was going to ask you, the show coming up Saturday, there's a band on there, Empire. I'm assuming that's a Queensryche tribute?
Yes, it's actually members of Just Like Priest, and they used to do just Queensryche. And what happened was the singer of that band is my best friend, and him and I used to be in, he was in Empire and I was in another band. We used to do Toys for Tots together all the time back in 2004, 5, 6, 7. That's how I met the guys in Damage Inc. And so when we met Michael, we were like, God, let's try to figure out a way for all of us to play together and have a big party. And we're like, let's do Toys for Tots. So we did our, we did our first one in, I think it was 2011, and here we are. So.
Yeah, and let me ask you, because also looking at this ad you have up for the show coming up on Saturday, the very last thing it says is Damage and Chains, Dirt. I was curious, is that like two bands together?
Yeah, I'll explain that. Damage Inc., the Metallica tribute, does an Alice in Chains tribute also called Damage and Chains. Vitalogy also does an Alice in Chains tribute called Dirt.
Oh, okay.
Two of the members from both bands couldn't make it that early.
Wow.
They're actually rehearsing right now. They're getting together. They're going to jam together, the two headliners, and open the show, just Damage and Alice in Chains at 6 o'clock.
Wow. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I also seen you guys have another benefit show coming up. I think it might be in January for our mutual friend Larry Cornwell, of course, from Allison Cooperland, who is trying to raise money, I guess, because he recently had a major heart surgery, and he's, I understand, recovering from that.
He's scared of all. Yes, Larry's a good friend. So yeah, that's going to be January 10th. That's Larry Palooza, and that one is actually going to be Hollywood U2, Bonfire, the Iron Maiden, Allison Cooperland, True to Crew, Damage Inc., and I think Osmania is the other band on that one. That's going to be Saturday, January 10th, too. That's another benefit we're doing.
And again, I mean, how cool is that? I mean, that just shows, all these groups coming out to support their buddy, that is recovering.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And just totally a cool thing for people to do. So I really urge people to go to both these shows and help out. And I was curious if you, like you mentioned, Osmania is going to be doing a show. They were recently on Access TV's World's Greatest Tribute. Are you at all aware of that show? Have you seen that at all on TV?
Oh, yeah. All of the bands that are playing at Larry's benefit were on Access. Actually, Katie Darrell's going to host it. Did you know that, Chris? Yeah. Did you know that?
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, all of the bands that are on his show we're on Access TV over the last couple of years, so she's going to come and host it. Oh,
how cool is that? And I was going to ask you, what do you think of that show? Have you guys at all toyed with the idea of trying to get on that show or talk to the people that are behind the show about getting the Great Pumpkin on there?
I haven't got that far yet. That's I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Well,
we're a three-piece, so we're not a four-piece. I don't know how much of a a lot of the bands that go on there, they look like we've got the Elton John, Kenny that looks just like him, and all these bands. So I don't know if, we might have a chance.
I mean, you guys are much.
Looks like Billy Corgan, so
Yeah, I mean, you guys are in good company. I mean, just look at the show you have coming up Saturday, the lineup. I mean, like you said, some of the bands have actually been on that show, so you never know. I mean, even look at the Elton John guy, Kitty Metcalf. I've interviewed him a couple times. Great guy. I don't know, for anybody who doesn't know, he was originally the keyboard player in Stryper in the early '80s, and now he's doing the Elton John thing. And I mean, just this season, I mean, he was already on by himself, and then they had this this thing they put together with him and a Billy Joel tribute guy, and they had like a dueling piano thing. I mean, it was, I never would have thought, but I mean, how cool was that? You know, two guys doing this dueling piano thing, and Elton John and Billy Idol. I mean, Billy Joel, but somehow it worked, you know, and they put on just a dynamite show. So, so do you guys have anything else going on, or anything else you want to discuss?
Well, we have a couple of upcoming shows this Saturday, of course, and then December 13th we're playing at Harbell's in Long Beach with our friends, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, wow, how cool is that?
That will be our last show of this year, so everyone should come out to that. And then we're going to do, next year we're doing January 17th at the Santa Fe Springs Swap Meet at noon, I believe. And then we're actually going to play February 28th of next year at Gaslamp. We're doing another benefit for child abuse and foster care group homes, an organization called childhelp.org. And that's going to be our show February 28th with some of our friends, Core, Nirvana, and some of the 90s bands are going to do that with us.
Oh, cool.
That's what we have on the books right now, but we have, you know, other things going on I haven't confirmed yet.
Wow, how cool is that?
Maybe we'll get on Access TV. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, hey, you never know. You know, funnier things have happened, but I think you guys are really, you know, onto a great start. And before I let you go, I just want to say I'm gonna. There's really no excuse, but I'm gonna really try to get down there Saturday. Like I said, I live right down the street. Looks like it's gonna be a great show, so I want to go check it out. And with that being said, Karen, I'd like to urge you, anytime you have like any of these benefits going on that you'd like me to help you promote, you know, we could do this again and talk about it. Maybe some other bands playing the benefit. In fact, I'm going to try to talk to some other bands that are playing Saturday, see if I can get them to do an interview with me. But it's really been great talking to you, and I'd like to do it again down the line when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, no problem. Chris has a couple of things going on that I'd like to mention too, because Chris and Michael actually have that original band called Damage, and I want him to tell you about that. And he's doing some really big stuff with some heavy hitters. Chris, you want to tell him about your band?
Please do, Chris. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have a couple of original projects that I'm doing, or bands that I'm in. But yeah, so Damage is just Damage, not Damaging, but Damage is an original band, and with Mike Neufeld from, you know, our singer and the Gaslamp guy, and then our bass player is a guy named Jeff Abercrombie, who is the original bassist and founding member of Fuel, the band Fuel.
Wow.
One of my top 3 favorite bands of all time, and so we actually play a couple of Fuel songs in our set, and we'll be playing January 24th at the Gaslamp with Gary Hoey as part of the NAMM weekend.
Yeah.
And then my other band is a newer band, and it's called Endangered Species, and it's with, of course, I'm playing drums, and then it's Craig Goldie from Dio is a guitar player, and Dario Seixas from who played with Chuck Russell's Great White plays bass, and then Mark Huff, who sang with Quiet Riot, is the singer, and then Wayne Finley is from Michael Schenker Group, who plays second guitar and keyboards with us. So we're in the middle of writing and recording a full CD, and we're going to start playing shows in March of next year. So pretty excited about that.
Wow, how cool is that? Well, you know, I'm really glad that I hooked up with you guys and did this interview, because Chris, you're definitely somebody I would love to talk to, because aside from doing these interviews with the tribute bands, I also write for an online magazine called Chaotic Riffs. If you just go to chaoticriffs.com, a website will come up and some links to some of the recent interviews I've done.
Okay.
And that site is more for like original bands. We've interviewed people like with Tim Ripper Owens, you know, some established acts. A lot of them are up and coming bands. And so I'm assuming both these bands you're talking about, they're they're kind of rock metal oriented.
Yep.
So so you got my phone, or Karen's got my phone number, my contact info. Grab that from her, and that goes for any of you guys that have any of these other original bands going. I'd love to do separate interviews with you about your original projects as well. So, Chris, when the time is right, get in touch with me, and I'd love to talk to you about your original band. Sounds like you got really interesting projects you're involved with.
That would be great, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and if we get together on Saturday, we can. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely gonna make the trip down there. So, I look forward to meeting you guys Saturday in person. And give me about an hour, and I can send you an MP3 link of the interview we just did. But it'll probably be going up on my site in about a week or so.
Okay.
And then and I'll let you know the minute it goes up. And you guys are welcome to do whatever you want with the interview once it goes up. And like I said, when I come down Saturday, I can maybe bring a copy of it on the CD. But thanks again for doing this. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Okay, see you guys Saturday. Thanks again. Bye-bye.